In today's episode, we're going to be talking about you're on a cruise ship. Do you get off on the port? Do you not? Why should you? Why shouldn't you? So let's get into it. So if you're new here, I'm Emma. Usually it's Emma and Jack and we are Live a Little, but in this episode you got just me. There wasn't too much back and forth on this one, so I thought we'd try something a little bit different and you just get to see me for this one. So we're going to talk about getting off on ports. We have 100% been guilty of this, especially when it comes to the Caribbean. We've definitely stayed on board and not gotten off and explored the ship instead of getting off on the port. But let's talk about some of the disadvantages as well as some of the advantages to doing both. So first off, let's talk about some of the benefits to staying on board the cruise ship. Typically the cruise ship is less empty, you have more space, it's not as crowded to get around and explore and check out that amazing ship that you paid a lot of money to get on. With that, you usually get to see more of the spaces, again, because it's not as crowded. You can kind of check out the different nooks and crannies, see what areas you like and what fits your personality a little bit more. It is 100% a more laid-back experience to stay on the ship when majority of the ship gets off to explore the different ports. You're also saving money by not getting off and going on those ports because you're not paying for the hefty price of the excursions. So there's a benefit to that. Sometimes saving money is a good thing. There's also sometimes activities are still going on even though it is a port day. So sometimes some activities that we've done some arts and crafts activities, we've done archery, things like that typically might be very, very crowded otherwise, where most people are off, so there's not a huge crowd to do those activities, which either A, allows you a little bit more attention if it's an arts and crafts one, or B, you can practice a little bit longer and enjoy some of those activities a little bit more than if you had, 50 people trying to do it. You may only have 10 if everybody else is off the ship. Now, I said you might save some money with excursions, and that is 100% true. But you could also spend some money but save some money, and you could go to the spa when it's a port day. Typically, the spa is a lot more affordable on port days because they factor in most of the people are getting off and exploring these amazing destinations that they're going to, so they're not going to charge the hefty price that they would when it's a sea day and there's not much else for you to typically do anyway, because you're on the ship, you can't get off. So those spa treatments are going to be a little bit more affordable on port days and a little bit easier also to actually get those reservations because you're not having as many people fighting for that exact same reservation. And then the obvious, you're avoiding the crowds. It can get very crowded at some ports. If everybody's getting off and you're staying on board, it's a great opportunity to just have a little bit more of a relaxed day and enjoy less crowds in the buffet, in venues, just overall on the ship in general. So that's most of our advantages. But now, like I said, we've been very guilty of this and stayed on, especially when we do some of the Caribbean sailings. I mean, if you haven't watched us before, I am married to a ginger, a redhead, so him and the sun don't always get along as well. So, we're not sitting out on a beach for long periods of time. We tend to go more towards the cooler weather trips like Alaska and Norway and things like that where he's not sitting out in the sun and burning and turning into a lobster. Thank you so much for watching this video so far. I hope you've been enjoying it. I still got a lot more fun info to come, but if it's been beneficial to you or made you think a little bit about some of those destinations and if you should get off or not, we'd love it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, or share it with a friend. It just helps the channel out a lot and means a lot to us. But now for some of those disadvantages of staying on board. A lot of the things aren't actually open on the ship. I know I mentioned before that some places are going to be less crowded, and that is 100% true. But you're usually not going to have the casino open. You're not going to have any of the shops open. Not all of the bars will be open. Limited restaurants will be open. Buffet is always open, so don't worry about that one, but you may not have as many of the sit-down options available to you. I know I've been guilty of it. I know I've heard other people say it as well. Oh, we're not going to get off at this port because you know what? We're actually going to be back in a few months. And that is, in the perfect ideal world, what everybody thinks and hopes. But you never know where life's going to take you, what's going to come up. I mean, either personally what's going to happen, or even just on cruises, weather can affect it. Sometimes if the weather's really bad and it's a tender port, or just it's so bad the ship can't actually dock, they're going to skip that port. You never know. There's hurricanes that happen. There's just weather in general. We've been on sailings where itineraries has been changed. Not just hurricanes. We've even had it where Skagway, Alaska for about a year, it was either a year or two ago, a lot of ships couldn't make it into Skagway because they had a large landslide that happened, so they couldn't get as many ships into that dock as they could previously. So you might think that you're going to be back, but you never know what's going to happen. And then besides for natural disasters, there's also other things that can occur. There's some ports that honestly just close down due to war or politics. Haiti you can't go to anymore. You can't go to anything near the Red Sea. A lot of those have closed down due to wars, as well as places like Italy and Spain where they are arguing that they don't want the cruise ships in because it just makes too many tourists and it's too much for the city itself. So you might think that you might be back, but again, you never know. So just keep that in the back of your mind. If this is a place that you really, really, really want to explore, it's always a great idea to get off and explore those ports. They've put limitation or bans on cruises in locations such as Venice, Canada, the Greek Isles, as well as some European cities like I mentioned, Spain. And another thing too is life's always changing. You could be at port and then 3 months later be at that exact same port. The weather could be different, which could affect what you want to actually do in port. There could be local festivals going on that you would have missed if you had stayed on the ship. Different markets happening. It can be a completely different experience between weeks and even months apart. So if it's a destination that you love or you've been wanting to explore and see more of, I always suggest getting off. I mean, you really truly only have a few hours. It's not like you're spending the entire week there. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. By getting off in some of these ports, it truly helps out the locals. Sometimes tourism is their main form of income and how they sustain life in some of these locations. So by getting off and just buying a little trinket or eating at a restaurant or what have you, it can actually save a lot of these destinations, especially when it comes to the Caribbean. So also think about that as well. You paid all this money to get there. You might as well enjoy it and experience it and try the new foods and try the culture and learn and meet new people and just have a fantastic vacation and get out and live a little. I mean, that's what life is about, enjoying those little moments that you didn't necessarily plan. You typically book a trip for the location that it is going to. Now, yeah, sometimes you might pick it because it's a new ship and you want to experience that new ship and what it has to offer and all that stuff. But for the most part, you usually do book a trip because of the location. When you go home, what are you going to remember most? The bumper cars you did, or the slide, or the go-karts? Or are you going to remember things like gold panning in Alaska, the Skagway train, trying new foods and drinks in the location, hiking along a waterfall in Norway or Iceland, running a 5K on an island, biking down a very windy path, seeing bears in Alaska, going on a boat ride through Amsterdam canals, walking tours with locals, or sitting on the ship that's not as busy and getting to go down that slide or have a drink in one of the bars. Travel memories are priceless, and you should get out and live a little. You never know what's out there and what is waiting for you unless you go out and actually give it a try. Do you agree with this? Should you get off on every port, or, is it sometimes nice to just relax by the pool and have a very calm and relaxing day? Do you book your trips because you want to see the location, or do you typically book them more because of the ship itself? And I think one of the biggest things to think about is once you leave a port, you're gone. You can't go back to that port that same day. You're on the ship. You'll be on the ship the rest of the day, possibly a sea day the next day. You can explore those things when your only option is to explore them. So you might as well take advantage of the opportunity, the very fleeting moment that you have of being at a port when you are on a cruise ship. Now, sometimes there are different ways that you can get around waiting in very long lines to go down a huge slide, or things like the flow rider or a zip line or a go-kart or things like that. Now, if you're curious on what some of those options might be, this might be the next video for you. So thank you so much for watching. Till next time, get out and live a little. Bye guys, and let us know what you think of just seeing one of us in one of these videos. I know it's a little bit different.